welcome to today's Shocktober episode. Today we're covering a big release that recently came out, and that is the remake of, or technically the first actual movie of Stephen King's It, the 2017 It, with Bill Skarsgård? I can never remember which one it is, as Pennywise. But this movie, let me tell you, I fucking loved this movie. I feel like when this movie came out, everybody was super high on it. Everybody was like, yeah, it's fucking great. And then, like, as it's gone on, I've seen a lot more people like, yeah, you know, it's okay. It's not, like, amazing and blah, blah, blah. But first, let's get the synopsis out of the way. This is coming off of Letterboxd, which I recommend you checking out and following me on. Advent Crash is my Letterboxd, or my name, Jeremy Meyer. It says, your fears are unleashed in a small town in Maine. 7 children known as the Losers Club come face to face with life problems, bullies, and a monster that takes the shape of a clown called Pennywise. Now, I feel like everybody pretty much knows the story of It. I have never read the book. From what I understand, this is kind of pulling from the book, pulling from the miniseries, and trying to be a little more faithful. I don't know if it is. I really want to read the book now. I love the movie. First of all, it's a big budget horror movie and it looks fantastic. I love the look of the movie. I love the production design. The town of Maine of Derry in Maine is really brought to life. So I recently covered the original script that Cary Fukunaga was going to do. And the script for the first half is almost beat for beat, but the things that change are the encounters with It are all different. And that was one thing when I was reading the script, I was like, oh man, I really like all of these encounters with It. But then they were all different in the movie, but they were different in ways that were just as good. And I loved those as well. So it was like, oh man, like I want to read the book and see what the encounters are like in the book, because I feel like they're different in every form and I like them in every form. So it's kind of like, oh man, there's all these different visions and versions and I love them all. Like it's really good. So I was like interested to see how the movie was going to play out and be different. But I loved it. It was gory. It was depressing in parts. Like the opening of the movie is fantastic. The two highlights for me are the opening of the movie and kind of the haunted house section. I should say spoilers if you haven't seen it. I think everybody who wants to see it probably has by now. But if you haven't and you've seen the miniseries, hey, you know what fucking happens. But the opening with Georgie is really fucking great. Bill Skarsgård is amazing. Or Skarsgård, sorry, that I'm looking at the cast list. It is Skarsgård. Is amazing as Pennywise. He is really fucking great. And that's something to be said about the whole movie in general, is that all of the performances are awesome. Most people are saying that the section of the movie with that's just following the kids and their drama and their problems is the best part. And it kind of goes down a little bit when Pennywise comes in. I can see that, but that's not how I feel about it. I still think all of those scenes are really great. I love the movie. I love every little bit of the movie. I don't think I would really change anything. I've also seen a lot of people complaining that whenever Pennywise shows up or any kind of big horror moment, it's just loud noises. And I will say I didn't notice that. Maybe I was just so into the movie I wasn't really paying attention, and I didn't notice that the movie just got loud, and that was like their scare tactic. So I do need to pay attention to that on the next time I watch it. And if that is the case, I do think that's kind of lazy. I don't think it should be that way. But some of my favorite moments of the movie, I love the haunted house section, and it has a really great subtle moment that just, one thing I love about Pennywise, and I said this in my 1990 It review, is I love the idea that he's more afraid of them than they are of him. And I love how they're trapped in a room and he's kind of attacking one of the other kids alone, and you know he wants them to be afraid before he kills them because that's how they taste good. And the other kids, they start to realize that it's their fear that gives him power, so they stop being afraid and they get the door open at the top, and the second they do, they cut back to It, and he just like looks in the other direction like, fuck, like they figured me out. and just the subtleness of it and the way it was cut and edited. I loved that moment. I thought it was really great. I loved them just attacking him in the house and him slinking away. But yeah, I loved it, and I loved Pennywise. All the scenes with him to me were great. There were some scenes that were cut out of the script that I wish were kind of still there. Some scenes that were give it kind of more of a history of the town and more just like some of the characters. Like Mike is the one kid that kind of doesn't get a lot of attention. He got a lot more attention in the script, but I understand the script. Like if you did that, the movie would probably be like really long. Like I think it's already pretty long, but it would just add a huge runtime to it. And I'm pretty sure they said that they are doing a like an extended director's cut. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. I think that's going to be awesome because I think adding more to this movie can only make it better, especially if it's some of that like town history and backstory stuff. But as it stands, it I think is one of the best big budget horror movies in like 10 years. If you haven't seen it, you should see it. I like some of the scenes. To me, I just can't get out of my head. Like there's a scene towards the end when he kind of captures Beverly, which is something I've seen a lot of people complain about. Like, oh, she's supposed to be like the strongest one of the group, and she gets captured very easily. And I agree, it's kind of shit. But I think that he basically, the idea was he scared her by attacking her through her father, and that was able to weaken her enough so that he could kidnap her. But then she is still strong because while she is like a damsel in distress, he won't eat her yet because she's not afraid. So he's still trying to make her afraid. But I love the scene where they like show him on the stage and he's like dancing, but his head's not moving. Like I love that shit. Like where something just looks out of the ordinary, and I thought it was really great. Like the movement and the way it was cut, I that shit was awesome. But 2017's It, I loved it. I can't wait to see it again. I'm going to buy that shit on Blu-ray and watch it like 100 times. I'm a little nervous for the sequel. I don't know how they're going to pull it off. I think they will. Like I have all the faith in the world that if they pulled this movie off as well as they did, that they will easily pull off the sequel. But to me, the stuff with the kids was always the better part of the story. So when they get to the adult stuff, I don't know what they would do. I know a lot of people are throwing out casting wishes, and the only one that I've seen that I really love is Jordan Peele as Mike. I think that would be really great. You could easily look at those two actors and see like, oh yeah, Jordan Peele does kind of look like a grown-up version, and I think he would do fucking awesome. So I am 100% behind that. Get Jordan Peele as Mike. But go see it if you haven't. I fucking loved it. But yeah, that's all I got to say about Stephen King's It, or it's just called It since the 2017 version. But that's going to be it for this Shocktober episode. I could sit here and fucking gush about this movie all day, but I try to keep these at around like 10 minutes or so. But that's going to be it for this one. So be sure to check back tomorrow. I wonder how many times when I'm ending an episode, I repeat that's going to be it for today's episode. It's like a drinking game. Every time I say that's going to be it, just take a drink, including that time I just said it right now. But that's going to be it. Take a shot. For today's episode, be sure to check back tomorrow where we're going to be looking at another horror movie review.